it up.
No banter. I don't think anybody can beat me at anything. And I wasn't even at first year.
There's a lot of enthusiasm.
Add it up.
Welcome back to another video, guys, and today's video is something I've never done on the channel before. I get hundreds of messages about rent to rent, rent to service accommodation. It's not something that we do as a strategy. I have lots of friends who do it. I have lots of friends who have tried it and actually failed. So today I'm doing a video on it to find out the truth. Is it as easy as other YouTube people make it out to be? Is it as easy as some of the educators in the UK make it out to be? Ed James has 9 rent to service accommodation units. This is his latest one behind me. It's a 3-bedroom apartment in Birmingham town centre, so it's very local to us. We've come down and we're going to ask him the questions. Is it easy? Is it profitable? How do you find your units? And get the in and outs of how his day-to-day life works with rent to service accommodation. So come inside, find out, and let's see what it's all about. We're inside the 3-bedroom apartment in the heart of Birmingham town centre. To my left is bedroom 1. Each bedroom is staged perfectly. The setup is amazing. It makes the guest just feel very comfortable from when they walk in. So I'm going to show you all the bedrooms, show the kitchen, show the lounge, and then I'm going to get to the important part, sitting down with Ed and running through every aspect of a rent to service accommodation unit. Bedroom 2, again, it's staged to perfection. Anybody coming here to stay, the feel, the atmosphere, everything of the area is amazing. Again, if I was going to book service accommodation, this is how I would expect it to be set up. So here we are, we're with Ed. This is his apartment in the centre of Birmingham City, and thank you very much for having us here. Rent to rent is something that I've been wanting to do a video on for a very long time. I've not found the right person, but you have multiple properties, so I actually think you are the perfect person. That's why we're doing this video. So my first question is, how did you get into rent to rent?
Yeah, so I mean initially, probably like a lot of people to be fair, I was like bewildered by property in general, looking for like the right opportunity, the right strategy, doing a bit of here, there and everywhere and just trying to do everything. It didn't really work. And to be honest with you, with work, I found that I kind of sat in the perfect location for pretty much rent to HMO,
Yep.
which is what I wanted to get into initially, so just generally rent to rents.
And what area was that?
That's in Somerset, so
Yep.
I work on a big project, one of the biggest in Europe, so it brings a lot of trade, business
Yep.
to a small area. So everyone looking for short-term stays or relocation.
And you spotted this while you was working at your place?
Exactly, yeah. So from there I tried to capitalise on that as much as possible, and that's how it started from there.
And what was your first property you got?
It was so initially trying to get rent HMOs.
Yep.
Founded an agent that was on board with the idea and whatnot, and me. But it was a 2-bed, so rent HMO didn't work. I was like, well, I'll just try and essay it, see what happens, give it my best shot, and then it'd be a good way for me to get my foot in the door with the agent at least, and that kind of just did exceptionally well, I suppose.
Oh, okay.
That's what I thought it would do anyway.
So how much was, so you found this one in Somerset, rent to serviced accommodation, even though you wanted to rent a HMO to start with.
Yeah.
So you found it, you got in with the agent.
Yeah.
How did it work with deposits and contracts, and how long did it take you to find the agent to get in with to start with?
So yeah, I've been flat out going for 7 months, being a pest on open rent, direct to vendor. I created leaflets, leaflet drops.
Yeah.
Ringing up all the agents, cold calling, and eventually this one just clicked. It took about 6 months.
This is bedroom 3, and as you can see, it's still under construction. Ed's got his brother here working hard. Great space, 2 single beds. Again, from what I know, perfect for service accommodation. Okay, so you found the property with the agent. What was the next step? What was the deposits? What was the term of the contract? Did you instruct your own solicitors? Did you do it yourself? Give us a breakdown of the process of the first one.
Initially, the first couple of hurdles, like, they're obviously interrogating me to see if I'm fit, worthy, credible, as they should. So getting through that and just coming to an agreement with terms of, I was like, they're running credit checks on my company. I was like, I've only had it 5-6 months at this point.
Yep. They're
going to fail straight away. Okay, can you go down as a guarantor? Yes, I can. I'm happy to do that. So it's all those first little bits, and then it came down to the nitty-gritty contract term length. And I had a mentor at the time, so he went through the contract with me, which is very good. And I was like a bit bewildered at this part, like how nitty-gritty does the contract need to be fine. But whereas if I look back at it now, it probably would have been more important, and it was there to just build up a good rapport, and then we're kind of at a level now where we just trust each other to roll with the contract without having to stitch each other up with some clauses or terms. Well,
that comes with credibility. Yeah. That comes with you meeting the payments and you doing exactly what you said you will do. So the more you do that, the more people are going to trust you anyway. So that agent sounds like he knew what he was doing as well to start with. And then you've built up this trust now. Does he send you more properties?
Yeah.
How many more has he sent you since that first one?
So I've got 4 with agents. Like I said, they don't get many in because they're commercial agents. And they know the crack is, so that sometimes they might be open and honest and be like, listen, don't think this one's, because they're trying to manage a relationship with their landlord as well.
Yeah.
So, you know, rightly so. From what I've found, to be honest with you, most of the amateur landlords get very scared, a bit booked out about the process. Yeah. And it tends to be the big seasonal, big timers who are very, not familiar with the process, but they understand perhaps where the benefits might lie for them, and if they're essentially protected by the contract, then you know,
knowledge comes with experience.
Yeah.
So the more you do it, the more you become seasoned at it. So that's something that people need to understand as well. When you're first in any strategy in property, a lot of it can be overwhelming. But the more you do, the more you're around the people who know what they're doing, the easier it becomes in the long term. So here we are in the lounge or the living room. Again, this is staged to perfection. Anybody staying here will feel really comfortable. The setup is actually amazing, I will have to say that. But again, rent to service accommodation is not something that I have any experience in. I'm just not a massive fan of it. Hopefully, after having a conversation with Ed, he can answer a lot of questions that I have actually got. When I speak to people who do rent to rent or rent to service accommodation, they're very blasé with their replies. They don't really give me much information. All they say is they're doing really well, they're making an absolute fortune. And then I have friends who have tried it and said it wasn't for them. They couldn't even secure the first rent to rent. Never mind, actually build a business on it. So you've got 9 units in all, and how long have you been doing rent to rent?
Like I said, it's pretty much this time last year, nearly to the date where I said I'm going to just
go for it.
Go for rent to rent.
Okay.
Took me 6 months to get my first deal, so a year essentially. But since my first deal,
6 months. And it snowballs after the first one. Is that because of confidence, do you think?
A lot of things, yeah, and I'm finding other avenues are opening up for me. You know, I have my Instagram page. It only has 200 followers, but there's a couple of people who are approaching me and saying, "Listen, can't you just do this for me?" And so I'm getting opportunities from left, right, and centre. And so my first deal with this landlord, I paid a saucer for. Yeah, he's very happy with the product, and how I run his asset. Yeah, and he has not only come back and said, "Listen, I want you to take all of mine on." But he's brought me his friends as well, so...
Okay, so let's get on to this one. So this is the one I've come to. This is the one I am familiar with now. So I've walked around, 3 bedrooms. It's staged very nice. If you are booking service accommodation, you walk through the door, you would be happy coming in here. Location's perfect. Like I said, I don't do rent to rent as a strategy, but I do know the basics of it.
Yeah.
So I know the location's perfect. I know the staging's perfect. What would this cost me to stay a night?
So Monday to Friday, I need to drill down on my own due diligence, but I can tell you roughly, probably about £100.
Okay, £100 a night. Occupancy. Now that is the key, isn't it, with service accommodation? Because you can go and say you're going to be occupied 100% of the time. That's not the case, is it? What would you, like, you cannot actually give an exact occupancy, but what do you expect in somewhere like this with your expertise?
Yeah, so I think the key point to your question was in somewhere like this, you know, you need to know your market. And my 2 units in Somerset have 6-month bookings, so that's phenomenal.
Yeah.
Here, I don't expect that. You know, we're right off the top of Broad Street, centre of Birmingham. I presume things are going to be very, not volatile, but fluid. You know, shorter stays, a lot more of them, higher volume of changeovers. So yeah, that's what I'm anticipating. Higher rent on the market, higher market rents on the weekends, and probably just, you know, not tourists, but whatever people might be visiting centre of Birmingham for, whether it's, you know, your party girls on your weekends, perhaps your contractors Monday to Friday, but probably not here, if I'm honest.
Okay.
Business, leisure. When you're in a centre, I think you're naturally exposed to a lot more.
Okay. So what are you expecting? Say it's 30 days. What would you be happy with?
I do.
Or what do you need to break even?
Well, to break even, so the rent's £1,250.
Okay, so £1,250 to rent this place.
Plus bills.
Yeah.
So £400.
Okay.
And I'm doing £100 a night.
So you need 16 days to break even.
Weekdays.
Oh, okay.
My weekends.
Yep.
Probably, they're probably double.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well,
probably double.
Okay, so you expect on a service accommodation in an area like you're in, this property, to kind of be full Friday and Saturday.
Yeah.
That would be the expectation. That would be my expectation. Definitely. Without knowing this market as well as you do. But if I took on rent to rent or rent to service accommodation, I know Birmingham, obviously. So Friday and Saturday, I would kind of say guaranteed to rent these out where it is, the location. Yeah. And are you looking at like £200 a night for Friday and Saturday?
Yeah.
Okay, so you could literally break even just by doing 4 Fridays and 4 Saturdays.
Yeah, and I think just to add some perhaps weight to what you've just said, the one in Liverpool is £950 rent. Yeah. And I've had weekends where I've brought in over £1,000 in the summer quite regularly.
Okay, so one weekend was just covered your whole rent?
Yes.
Okay. Well, you paid no deposit, did you, for this? Yeah. You got 2 weeks rent free?
Yeah. So, I mean, I've never took on any of my deals that needed work doing because of the time constraint for me. I'm at work.
And this did. You had a new kitchen fitted as well, didn't you?
Yeah, brand new kitchen fitted, decorated throughout. And I'll obviously send you the before pictures of the kitchen. You'd probably be surprised at how rank it was.
Kitchen's nice, very nice kitchen.
Yeah, luckily small, so cheap to do, easier to fit. Quick.
How much was the kitchen?
Talking £500 for the units and worktop.
And who fitted it?
Me and my dad.
Okay, so that was free then,
yeah.
apart from your time.
Yeah, that's what I mean. The biggest save has been on labour costs. Yeah. You know, I've been here most part of every day of them.
And you had the keys over Christmas and New Year as well, didn't you?
Yeah,
which has obviously also caused a bit of a problem because there's nothing open if you need anything.
Nothing open, hectic, and then obviously my own personal life. Yeah. You know, family pressures, being home for Christmas, being busy, seeing a lot of people. I work in Somerset and back home for a short period of time. Managing it all has been hard, but obviously worth it for me, hopefully.
Well, I think it will. I think it'll work out. Again, speaking to you off camera, I can see how driven you are. You know your stuff, and I am impressed with the setup and the way, from what you've told me it was, and even knowing the area myself, the location. If I was going to do some kind of rent to service accommodation, which I'm not going to, guys, it's not my strategy. But if I was, this is the location I would pick around 3 or 4 streets around here. Next question: how would you expect somebody who's starting out to see you on camera today saying you've got 9 in 6 months? Would you set that expectations for everybody, or would you say that you have something about you that's a little bit different, as in drive and work ethic, or what would you say? Because I know my messages after this video are going to be, I want to do rent to rent?
Yeah. I would say that it's not the average expectation, no, based on, I have people who have been similar positions to me 6 months ago and who are equally as driven as well. So perhaps a lot of it's come down to maybe luck.
You make your own luck.
Yeah, maybe. But I'm definitely, perhaps the strategy within rent to rent, there's also a strategy within rent to rent. I chose to go very aggressive, take a lot of risk up front because I'm young enough and I'm in a position where I can take a lot of risk. You know, not just stupidly and foolishly. I did a lot of due diligence, but I was ready to move up to Liverpool just to take a deal on, even though I'm still down in Somerset. And I was thinking, as long as I get the right systems, processes in place, I could see that running the numbers non-stop, I was like, am I missing something? Am I missing something? This seems ridiculous. Why is he even selling me the deal? This seems ridiculous. And as I take more and more on, I get more confident in my own decisions. And avenues have opened up.
Yeah.
So I'm ready to. My strategy at the moment is to aggressively scale up.
Yeah.
I said that's what I want to do. That's what I'm going to do.
So that comes with leaving your job basically as well, because to scale up and take it to where your dreams are, you can't do that working. And
of course not.
Yeah.
You know, obviously, the higher overarching goal is the fact that this should offer me a lot of flexibility in terms of where I can work from, when I can work, you know, the goals that everyone has.
Yeah, financial freedom, but
yes.
It's time, isn't it? It's not a figure.
It's the time for me.
It's the time.
It's the time. You know, so if I am ever big enough and have to outsource it for flipping 50% of what I take in, then for 100% of my time back, any day.
You'd do it every day of the week, wouldn't
you? Right now, or leading up until this point, I had a lot of time, so it's the time that I invested, you know.
Okay, so you got 9 units. Do you want to give a figure of what your profit is a month, or does it literally you couldn't do that, or could you average it out to what you?
I could, and it's on my Instagram. I do monthly reviews, and I always think when I go into these monthly reviews, what should I review here? Well, the first thing should be the profit, my business, right? And then because I was very obsessed with are these people telling the truth, I try and be as raw as possible and just be this is what it is like. I'm not bragging, I'm not, you know, I put the good and the bad out there, the problems, the good, so it's all out there, and I can send you the screenshots.
Well, that's why you're on. That's why you're on the channel, because you do put the good and the bad. I don't want somebody around me or on my channel who literally comes in and just throws numbers out, makes it out like they're doing absolutely amazing, when that's not the case. No. There are some good months, there are some bad months, but again, a figure. What do you think you could say to people? You can make 9 units comfortably a month without, not your best month, not your worst month, averaging it out.
Yeah, so I've made, in the 6 months since I got my first deal, I've turned over 50k on Airbnb.
Yeah.
Probably about half of that profit. These are very rough.
Yeah, just rough.
And all been reinvested. So I've been, it's hard because I've been scaling up alongside it.
Yeah.
For now, start of 2022, I will not be happy unless I bring in 250k.
For the year?
For the year.
Okay. So, it's a good target to have. It's nice to have targets.
Yeah, and if I'm honest, I would say that's more of a projection than a target.
Yeah. So you're looking at about £5,000 a week you want, don't you? £20,000 a month, £250,000 a year. Yeah. That's where you're looking to be.
Yeah.
And after speaking to you, you're not going to stop until you actually hit that, are you?
No, I won't stop.
Yeah, you won't stop until you hit it.
Anyway.
Yeah, that's good. It's nice to have somebody who's driven. It's nice to have somebody, and you setting, you know, expectations are key. I always say dream big, but you also have to be realistic.
Yeah.
Like, I have massive dreams. I know what I want, but I also have to set individual targets to get to that big goal.
Stepping stones.
Yeah, there's a lot of people around me who say, I want to be a billionaire. I want to do this. I want to own that. But then they have they can't explain to you how they're going to get there. Yeah. They have to think. So I like the fact that you do have the target set, the goal set, the expectation set, and you're not trying to sell a dream. You're showing the good, you're showing the bad, and to me that's key. And that's how you build credibility. True.
Well, I do think that's important, because it's very easy for me to emphasise on the good bits naturally, and it's what I'm biased towards. But I mean, I don't want to sell and put anyone out into a position where they think they can just pick it up.
Yeah.
And like you said, you can't and hopefully then.
Yeah, well, that's the problem with the UK property education and sector at the moment. I have no other questions. You've answered everything that I wanted answering, and you have given me a different outlook on rent to rent, rent to service accommodation. Still not a strategy that I would personally do myself, but I can see the profit in it, and I can see how if you don't have enough money to buy 9 units yourself to do this strategy,
yeah, exactly,
it gives people a great opportunity. And no matter what education you get taught, no matter what course you get sold on rent to rent, I actually genuinely think it's down to the individual. What drive you have, how do you come across to people, how do you speak to agents? I think there's a hell of a lot more that goes into this than just...
I mean, there's just hurdles non-stop, like a non-stop row of hurdles, and you just split down into different phases. You know, you got deal acquisition, and that's after you've set up your own company and got the funds and everything in place. You know, finding a deal, due diligence of the deal, a good deal, you can't risk it to be bad. The product itself, what you market, has got to be good. It's got to be to the right people at the right price. You got to maintain, manage that asset for the landlord, you know, as a physical state, and then all the back end stuff. You know, people call it a power team a lot in property, but then from a rent to rent or at least service accommodation side of things, like my housekeepers are just
second to none,
mate.
They're the key, aren't they?
Can't even put a value on it. Like,
yeah.
I mean, they do more than just clean, and they help me just get in, and then I want to be out and on to the next one. And I work very well with them, and they make my life so much easier. They're absolutely invaluable, you know. And
yeah,
everyone goes on about tips and tricks and, you know, lock boxes and minute and whatever, but you need to just be finding the best team and leveraging people, really. Yeah. As much as you can.
I talk about a power team a lot. And with my power team, it's solicitors, accountants, mortgage brokers. That's my power team. Your power team is obviously housekeepers, even agents. Maintenance agents.
You know, you're able to scale up, you know.
Yeah, it's all about scaling.
For me now, and then I can get to a place, like you said, depends on your dreams and your goals and where you want to take your property business. Something more passive, like or buying, and just a different type of strategy. Yeah. Owning the assets instead of, which I can't do now.
But that comes with time. And so money. Yeah, if you save and you build your business to a level which you explained to me about the Liverpool one, if you can do that for 2 years and manage that to run them numbers through 4 or 5 of your properties, in no time you'll be buying your own properties to do it anyway. Yeah. I can clearly see that from the outset. But thank you very much for inviting us down. Thank you for helping us with the video. And I'd hope to come back in about 6 months and catch up with you again.
That'd be good.
That'd be good to see where you are.
Definitely.
But yeah, thank you very much. That was my first ever rent-to-rent video on my YouTube channel, and it was something I've been wanting to do for a long time now. Rent to HMO, rent to service accommodation. Now, I believe that rent to HMO might be easier than rent to service accommodation. And my reasoning for that is, when you rent out a HMO, it's block bookings, as in 1 month, 3 months, 6 months, or 12 months. When you do serviced accommodation, it's sporadic, so it can be a Friday, a Saturday where you have occupancy, Sunday you might have nothing, Monday, Tuesday maybe nothing, Wednesday, Thursday you could have somebody there. The serviced accommodation side of rent to rent, I believe there are many pitfalls, and after spending some time with Ed in today's video, I got a lot of answers, but I'm still not convinced. I'm not 100% sure that rent to rent, as in rent to service accommodation, is something that younger, inexperienced people should necessarily put their hand to. Now, the reasoning behind this is because I have read a lot of contracts that people send for the rent to service accommodation, and they aren't worth the paper that they're printed on. There's holes everywhere, they are loose, and you could end up in a hell of a lot of debt if you're not careful. And it just goes to show that these other educators out there that are teaching these programs, courses, all the rest of it, they're not really giving out all the information that is needed to make sure everybody is secure. Now, I don't do rent to rent, rent to service accommodation, rent to HMO. So I can't stop any kind of bad press that it gets and give a good side to it, because everything I've found so far has been very negative. Now, rent to rent does work. I am actually saying that it does work. There are people out there that have proven that it is successful. But the number of people that are successful compared to the number of people that fail and actually end up in debt is, the gulf is huge. For every one person that succeeds, 100 people fails. Is that because of the training? Is that because they're so eager to get on the ladder and they don't know that actually rent to rent is not getting on the property ladder? Your whole business is based on somebody else. You are never the owner. You are just the acting management company. So if you're building a business and you're scaling a rent to rent business, please be aware that every penny you earn, save, and hopefully you can buy your own property and you can manage your own property then without having to rely on somebody else. On that note, I'm going to sign out of today's video. It's a very informative video. It's one of my favorite videos that we've done because it's something that I wanted to understand, and I will be shooting a lot more on rent to rent on this channel and getting a better understanding. I will be highlighting the good and the bad. So I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, please smash that like button. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, please subscribe to the channel. We are growing and I'm still overwhelmed at where we are in this short space of time, but I will be back in a few days with another video. Thank you.